When I entered my house, I looked around and saw everything was destroyed, and I had no idea what was going on until I looked into the corner of the room and I saw her sitting in the dark. This girl broke into my house. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a super embarrassing video. So today's story actually is kind of crazy because it all starts off back in my grade 10 year. Now in grade 10, I won't lie to you, I was a player and I was talking to many girls at once, and even though this is never usually a good thing, it comes with really bad consequences. And this one time, I remember in my grade 10 year, I was walking down the school hallway and I met actually a couple girls that I was, supposedly friends with. I wasn't actually friends with these girls, to be honest. If I ever met a girl back in high school, chances were that I was just hanging out with them to eventually do the devil's tango with them. So in reality, I didn't really have friends that were girls. But I remember I ended up seeing this group of girls and I walked up to them and started basically like hanging out with them and talking to them, and they enjoyed talking to me, and to be honest, they would end up telling me all the tea that was happening throughout the school. I don't know why, but when it comes to girls, they seem to know way more about the school than the average guy does, which, to be fair, I don't blame them, because if they knew what happened in the boys' locker room, they would basically be talking about that forever. Only the guys will know, by the way. But going on with the story, I remember as I was talking to them, though, I remember one girl that I actually did not recognize in this group ended up looking at me, and she basically stared me down like a hawk. I don't know why, but she kept looking at me as if I was crazy, and I didn't know what was wrong with this girl. I didn't know if she already heard about me or hated me, but something was a little off. But I will say one thing, she had a nice pair of cherries. Now, I know that sounds really mean for me to say because I did just call her creepy for staring at me, but she was attractive and kind of hot. So what I decided to do was walk up to her and be like, hey, like, how's it going? I haven't met you yet. Oh, hi, Bubba. What's going on? Nothing. I'm just curious, like, what you been up to? What you doing? Nothing. Just getting ready for science class. Oh, that's cool. No, I got, drama next, but, it's pretty cool. I was just wondering, like, what's your snap? Like, you new to the school or something? No, I literally joined the school the same time as you, Baba. Oh, okay. Well, like, here, just add me on Snap then. I ended up adding this girl on Snapchat, and me and her, we actually ended up snapping back and forth throughout the school day. But did she mention anything to me or talk to me? No, not really. For some reason, she wasn't really interactive with me, nor did she want to talk to me, I feel like, but that's only the vibe that she gave off in the beginning. But later on, you're gonna see that this girl was, well, a lot more crazier than you think. Because I remember later on in the next day, I remember this girl would randomly pop up in my vision out of nowhere. Like, for example, if I was walking down the school hallway or the field or basically anywhere throughout my school, I would see her randomly just there staring at me as if I was crazy. And not only that, there was one time where I was sitting in my classroom just doing my schoolwork, and this girl just popped out of nowhere staring at me as if I was crazy. And like, she was staring at me through the window. So you already know this was like some like crazy girl stuff that I was just terrified of. And honestly, it felt like that this girl was obsessing over me. So what I decided to do was kind of play this joke on her where I would take a photo of her every time she was doing it. So for example, there was one moment where I remember I was sitting in the school field just talking to the boys, and I saw her in the corner of the field just staring at me by herself, by the way, no one hanging out with her whatsoever. And I ended up taking a photo of her, sending it to her, and she picked up her phone, looked at it, and she saw I took that photo. She found this like very funny and ended up sending me a snap back of like, of her like just smiling. And I thought, you know what, maybe she just likes looking at me. I don't blame her, because back when I was in high school, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of girls liked my jawline. Just saying, guys, hit the gym. You could probably get a nicer jawline than me. Now, right as I thought this whole thing was gonna be a joke and everything, I remember the next day happened, and this is where things got insane, because instead of actually staring at me, this girl actually one time ended up walking up to me saying, hey, Bubba, I'm just curious, what are you doing tonight? Nothing, just probably chilling at home. Why? What's going on? Oh, well, like, I was just curious. Do you want to like maybe like, I don't know, like hang out tonight? I'll see. I don't know. I'll tell you later. Now, the main reason why I didn't say yes was because one, I was actually seeing a girl that night that was supposed to come over, so me and her could do the devil's tango. But apparently this girl wanted to basically come over and do the same thing. I wasn't really sure what she wanted to do, but I didn't give this girl any of my details, my address, nothing. I didn't give her anything. And what ended up happening next, I am not joking, made me go insane. Because I remember literally that night, I ended up basically going home, playing Call of Duty, all this stuff, and I ended up getting a message from the girl that was originally supposed to come over. She ended up messaging me saying that she was too busy and that she couldn't make it and all this stuff. And obviously I'm like, okay, whatever. To be honest, the only reason why I wanted you to come over was so we can do the devil's tango. But then afterwards, literally not even like 2 seconds later, I ended up getting a Snapchat from the girl from my school that was the creep, and she ended up messaging me saying, hey Bubba, is it cool if I come over? I mean, yeah, sure, why not? I ended up saying yes, and she came over, and I am not joking, right as I said yes and sent her that message of confirming she can come over, 2 seconds later, I got my doorbell rang. And I went upstairs, I opened the door, and I saw it was her. I had no idea how this girl knew where I lived, and I had no idea how this girl found out, you know, anything about me. But apparently, in my mind, I was just thinking, oh, you know what? Girls talk. She's not going to do anything. And I ended up basically hanging out with her. And yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. Me and her, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. Now, me thinking that this girl was just going to be another fling that I have and just, you know, another friends with benefits. Boy, was I wrong. Because I remember literally the next day at school, I saw the same group of girls all hanging out together, and I walk up to them, except this time, the one girl that was supposed to come over originally was super upset at me, and the other girl that was, you know, basically there that night was even more upset. I didn't know why, because, you know, I thought people didn't kiss and tell, but clearly I was wrong, because I remember after school that day, I ended up hanging out with my friends, and we all ended up going on the football field, basically playing rugby, and we were playing rugby until like, I want to say 7, 8 at night, and it was getting nighttime, and I decided to go home. And when I got home, I am not joking, I saw that my door was left unlocked. Now, I thought my parents did this, but at the same time, my parents didn't usually arrive home till super late. But when I went downstairs to my room, I ended up seeing that my room was destroyed. By destroyed, I mean my desk was flipped over, I had a monitor facing down, I had my bed sheets all over the place, I had a pillow literally ripped to shreds. Like, I didn't know why everything was destroyed. And me panicking, thinking, yo, like, did someone break into my house? Like, what's going on? I ended up turning around and I ended up opening my closet. And when I opened my closet, I saw in the corner of there, the girl that I originally did the Devil's Tango with ended up popping out, pushing me onto the ground and saying, do you really think you can just do me and my friends and act like nothing's wrong? Like, who do you think you are? You're not the player here, okay, Baba? How did you get in my house? Was the first thing I said to her, because I was mind blown that she broke into my house. And one thing led to another. She ended up threatening me with like a wire that she got from my gaming setup, and I ended up panicking, freaking out, because I didn't know what in the world was going on. And I remember what I ended up doing was push her as far as I could across the room, and I ended up running upstairs to my phone and calling the police. Yeah, I know, I called the police on a girl that literally was from my school. Well, I mean, to be fair, she broke into my house, so I had every right to, because, you know, my house, my property, my land. Well, to be honest, my parents' land, but you guys know what I mean. Like, it was scary. And I remember as I was calling the cops, this girl would refuse to leave. Like, she would just didn't want to get out of my house. She just did not want to leave, and it made no sense to me why. It kind of like really made me panic and freak out. And that's not even the worst part, because my parents ended up coming home from work and they saw everything that was going on, and they're just questioning, who is this girl? Why is she here? And I didn't want to tell my parents, oh yeah, like, you know, this is another chick that I just did the Devil's Tango with. So I remember when the cops came, I ended up basically saying like my parents aren't involved and all this stuff, trying to basically make them not get involved with the whole situation. And I told one of the cops the whole storyline, and he thought I was crazy, but at the same time, he told me, young man, you gotta understand, girls talk, so just be careful with yourself, all right? And ended up leaving. At that moment, I learned my lesson. Girls speak to one another like it's nothing. But one thing I will say is that you guys should follow for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.